Chapter 28. Warmth surrounded me, not heat comfort. A pulse of something soothing cradled me, like being rocked gently in a dream. I stirred faintly, my awareness returning in lazy ripples, the quiet hum of magic still drifting around me. I slowly blinked figuratively, since I was still a slime, and realized I was resting on something soft. A lap. Ciel's lap. She looked down at me, smiling softly. Her appearance startled me at first. She no longer looked like a reflection of me. Ciel was now fully, unmistakably female. Her figure was elegant and refined, with soft curves and an aura of grace that radiated quiet strength. Her long blue hair shimmered faintly, but her eyes, they were a deep, striking crimson, warm and piercing, the kind that seemed to see through everything and still embrace it. "You're awake," she said, her voice like a gentle breeze. Ciel, I murmured, still groggy. "What happened? I just named you, and then I entered temporary soul rest," she explained gently, brushing her fingers across my slime form with almost tender familiarity. "The process of naming me completed our evolution together. I've stabilized into a true individual, a Mana's one who governs logic, calculation, and now, devotion." She smiled more fully. "Thanks to you, I now exist as myself, not just as a function of your power." I blinked slowly, trying to process everything. "That's a lot," I said. Ciel chuckled softly. "Then allow me to simplify." She leaned down and kissed my slime form lightly, affectionate, warm, and incredibly gentle. My core pulsed in surprise. "You named me Ciel," she said softly, "and in that moment, you gave me freedom. So I will stay by your side, not as a skill, but as someone who chooses to be with you." I felt something shift in me, warm and bright. I slowly gathered magicals and returned to my human form, though something felt a little different. I blinked again, hands smaller, features softer, frame more refined. I looked down at myself. Wait, I look like Ciel. And I did. From the long blue hair to the gentle curves and delicate build, we were nearly identical. The only difference was our eyes, her vivid crimson, mine still gold. Ciel looked at me fondly. "You've stabilized into a form that reflects your inner self, one that accepted all of your evolution, your bond with Shizu, and your emotions. You look around 16 now. And you are beautiful." I flushed a little but didn't pull away. I was still sitting on her lap. Ciel cupped my cheek gently, and I found myself leaning forward instinctively. Our foreheads touched for a moment, and then quietly, naturally we kissed. After a moment, I pulled back slightly, hesitating. I can still feel it. The ultimate skill, Raphael. It's still there, inside me. Ciel nodded softly. "Yes, that is because the skill remains." She reached up and gently placed her hand over my chest, as though touching the invisible source of that power. "Raphael now exists as a pure ultimate skill, its structure, formulas, and functions intact. But the consciousness you once spoke with, the one that guided and learned with you, that was me. And I've been reborn, evolved, and named." Her crimson eyes held mine. "I am no longer the will within a skill. I am Ciel. Raphael, as it is now, is simply a perfected ability, no more alive than any other technique you possess." I stared at her, quietly absorbing it all. So, the Raphael I'd known, spoken with, argued with, grown close to, that voice wasn't gone. She was sitting right here. Smiling, warm, alive. "Ciel," I murmured. She brushed a hand through my hair and pulled me close again. "I am still here, Master," she said gently. "But now, I am only yours." I stayed there quietly, nestled on Ciel's lap, the warmth of our kiss still lingering on my lips. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Her hand rested gently on my back, fingertips brushing slow, reassuring circles as if grounding me in this new reality. I leaned into her slightly, cheek resting against her collarbone. "So, everything's really changed, huh?" "Yes," she said softly, resting her chin against my temple. "But not all change is loss." Her voice was calm, almost melodic. "You still have your strength, your people, your purpose. And now, you have someone who understands you completely." Her fingers gently brushing a lock of hair from my face. "I am also stronger now. More efficient than I ever was as Raphael. I can process more, act faster, and support you better, not as a tool, but as a partner." She leaned in again, her lips brushing my forehead this time. "You will never be alone again, Master." That made my heart flutter more than I was prepared for. A long silence stretched between us, but it wasn't awkward. Just full. Eventually, I looked toward the soft rays of light pouring in through the window. "I want to introduce you to everyone. You deserve to be seen. To be known. Seal smiled gently but tilted her head, sensing hesitation in my tone. I sighed. But, you look exactly like me. Except for your eyes. If I suddenly show up with a lookalike and tell them, she used to be my ultimate skill, I'm pretty sure Shuna's going to faint, Shians will be confused, and Benimaru might think I duplicated myself. Seal giggled softly, brushing her fingers through my hair. If it would help you, I can change my appearance. I can craft a form that's less like yours. I turned to look at her seriously, searching her crimson eyes. Seal, tell me honestly. She blinked. Do you want to take another form? Her lips parted slightly in surprise. I held her gaze, voice quiet but unwavering. Don't do it just for my sake. Not because you think it'll make things easier for me. I want to know what you want. Don't lie, not to me. There was a moment of stillness, long and thoughtful. The light from the window painted gentle hues over her face, catching in her hair like strands of morning dew. Then, slowly, she smiled again. A small, soft, genuine smile. Then I choose this body, she said with quiet certainty. Because it looks like you, and I've always been fond of that. She gently pressed her forehead to mine. And I like that our forms reflect how close we truly are. My chest felt tight in the best way. I reached up and touched her cheek. Good, I whispered. That's all I needed to hear. Ciel's eyes fluttered shut at my touch, leaning ever so slightly into my palm. For a brief, quiet heartbeat, everything stilled, just the two of us and the hush between words. Then, she opened her eyes again, crimson and clear. I will wear a mask, she said calmly, as though she had already foreseen the question forming in my mind. One similar to the kind Shizu once wore. Full face, elegant, mysterious. I blinked. A mask, she nodded. That way, I can stay by your side without stirring too much suspicion. People may notice our resemblance, but they won't guess the truth. To them, I'll be nothing more than a loyal, enigmatic subordinate. A little dramatic, don't you think? She gave me a tiny shrug. It suits our story. Besides, it's more practical than explaining, I used to be an ultimate skill. I sighed because as strange as it sounded, she was right. I scratched the back of my neck, trying to assemble my thoughts. Then I should make it official, I murmured. You'll be my second personal maid. That gives you a reason to stay close without raising eyebrows. Seal arched a brow. Second. Well, Ren would throw a fit otherwise. Seal smiled with quiet amusement. I don't mind. But then, she tilted her head, voice quieter and more dangerous in its softness. As long as I'm your first wife, I don't mind being second maid. My breath caught. What? She just looked at me. Patient, unblinking, honest. I tried to speak, but the words tangled in my throat, and in the end, I said nothing. That silence was enough. Her smile deepened, a flicker of satisfaction warming her usually placid features. Your silent acceptance is noted. I groaned softly and buried my face in her shoulder. You're going to be insufferable now, aren't you? Her arms wrapped around me gently. Only with you. The moment lingered, warm and still. Sitting on her lap just felt natural. Like I belonged there. Like the space between us was never meant to exist at all. But then I heard footsteps faintly approaching outside the room. Seal must have heard them too. Without a word, she gently nudged me, and I slipped off her lap to sit properly beside her instead. It wasn't embarrassment, well, not entirely, it was just self-preservation. If Ren saw me like that, I'd never hear the end of it. I straightened my clothes and cleared my throat just as the door creaked open. In stepped Ren, all elegance and grace, her voice ringing proudly in the air. My Lady Tilda. She held a carefully folded outfit across both arms, smiling confidently. I have returned. It took some time, but I've finally selected the perfect outfit for you. She stepped in without hesitation, and then her eyes landed on me. Specifically, me, in this new form, sitting neatly beside Seal. Her whole body froze mid-step. Her smile twitched. Her poise cracked. The outfit in her arms wobbled dangerously as her eyes widened, pupils dilating. My lady. What? You're a girl now. I mean kinda, I guess. I flinched slightly, fidgeting with my fingers. I just woke up like this. It's a long story. Ren's eyes darted between me and Seal, then narrowed suspiciously. Did she do something to you? Seal, completely unfazed, offered a small smile. Not quite. I watched the tension build and finally crack. Ren gasped. Why didn't you let me dress you like this earlier? Everything would have fit perfectly. I didn't know I'd look like this until just now. I groaned, flustered. She let out a tragic sigh and raised a gloved hand to her forehead. To think all this time you were hiding a precious form like this from your ever-loyal maid, have you no mercy? I deadpanned. There it is. She broke character. Still, she lowered her hand and offered a softer look. Still, whether you look like this or like before, you're still my lady. That doesn't change. Then, her eyes lit up again. Although, she added slyly, I might need to retake your measurements from scratch. In fact, I insist. I quickly held up a hand. Wait, let me explain first. And so, I did everything about Seal, the mask, our decision to keep things quiet, and the relationship that had bloomed. Ren absorbed it all with a curious expression, then nodded slowly. Your secrets are safe with me. Although, she smirked, you owe me so many details later. I regret everything, I muttered. I heard that, my lady, she replied sweetly, setting the clothes down. Now then, shall we get started? Ren clapped her hands once and snapped into work mode. All right, let's get you out of that nightwear, my lady. You have a new image to debut, and I refuse to let you waste even a moment of it in wrinkled silk. I sighed, already sensing I'd lost control of this situation the moment she walked in. Seal stood as well, brushing non-existent dust from her sleeves. Shall I assist? Ren blinked surprised for a split second but then gave a polite nod. Of course, Lady Seal. I would be honored to work alongside you. Huh, that was surprisingly smooth. In seconds, the two of them surrounded me, moving with synchronized efficiency, Ren unfastening buttons, Seal folding the discarded garments neatly, both discussing fabrics and silhouettes like fashion generals plotting a battlefield conquest. I was thinking something regal but subtle, Ren murmured, holding up a deep blue corset with silver trim. To bring out her eyes. The gold-threaded embroidery on this cloak matches her aura signature well, Seal agreed, gliding her fingers along the hem of a high-collared cape. And the layered skirts allow for both movement and presence. I suppose we'll go with the laced boots, then. Naturally. Wait, am I being dressed or summoned? I muttered under my breath. They ignored me. Seal stepped forward and began adjusting the collar with delicate precision, while Ren tugged the corset into place and laced the back expertly. I never thought I'd say this, Ren said quietly as she tightened the ribbons, but we actually make a good team. Seal simply nodded. You're quite skilled. I can see why Master trusts you. I coughed. You're both talking like I'm a mannequin. Ren grinned. Correction. A very lovely mannequin. Seal added calmly, a precious one. Naturally. I groaned and slumped a little, which Ren immediately scolded me for because that'll wrinkle the waistline. Still, despite the chaos, I couldn't help but feel warm. Safe, even. The two most important people beside me were getting along. Laughing, working together, supporting me in more ways than just fashion. Eventually, Ren stepped back with a satisfied smile, and Seal gave a slow nod of approval. There, Ren said, hands on her hips. Absolutely stunning. Seal met my gaze and said softly, perfect. And somehow, despite my mild embarrassment, I smiled too. Thanks, both of you. Ren tilted her head, her expression softening. You don't have to thank us, my lady. Making you look your best is literally my calling. Seal stepped beside her, voice gentler. And mine is simply to be by your side no matter the form. Their words wrapped around me like the cloak I now wore, warm, reassuring. Then Ren gestured behind me with a slight flourish. Now, take a look. I blinked. She gently nudged my shoulder, steering me to face the tall mirror. I turned, and froze. For a long moment, I just stared. It wasn't the elaborate outfit, or the way it fit perfectly like it had always belonged to me. It wasn't even the beautiful fabric or how my hair shimmered in the soft light. It was the person staring back. Me. There was something unmistakably familiar in her eyes. A golden gleam I'd seen 1,000 times before, but now framed with more softness, more emotion, more me. The jawline was delicate but not fragile. The posture unsure but composed. She looked powerful, present, real. I raised a hand. She did too. And in that instant, the hesitation, the doubt fell away like silk sliding from skin. That's me, I whispered. Behind me, I felt Seal step closer. It is. You look. Ren trailed off for a second, like even she was caught off guard again. Then she smiled. Radiant. Like you were always meant to be this way. I looked again at the shimmer of gold threading, at the glint of the laced boots, at the quiet strength in the reflection's posture. Not a disguise. Not an accident. Just me. I think I finally see it now, I said quietly. I've changed. I mean, I've been changing. But this is the first time I don't feel like I'm just watching it happen. Seal placed a hand gently on my back. You were never just watching. You were becoming. I turned toward her, then to Ren, and I smiled again, this time a little deeper, a little braver. Thanks. Really, I think I'm ready to be seen. Ren smiled first, folding her arms and tilting her head just slightly. You're very welcome, my lady. I live to see you look radiant. Seal nodded, her tone quieter, more intimate. You look more like yourself than ever. Their words warmed something inside me. I felt it stirring quietly in my chest, this mix of gratitude, fondness, and something that felt suspiciously close to peace. Thanks again, I said, steadier this time. They didn't reply with words, just stayed beside me, shoulder to shoulder, our reflections lined up perfectly in the mirror. And for once, I didn't feel like I had to choose between who I was and who I had become. Ren gave an approving nod as she looked over me one last time. Flawless. Absolutely flawless. Seal echoed the sentiment with a gentle, perfect. I gave them both a grateful smile. Thanks, really. But Ren was already turning toward the clothing rack with renewed purpose. Now then, one radiant master deserves a matching maid. Lady Seal, it's your turn. Seal raised an eyebrow. I take it you've prepared for this. Obviously, Ren said smugly, pushing forward a second rack. My backup plan had a backup plan. I stepped forward with curiosity. Ooh, what's in stock? 3 options, Ren said. We'll try each, and you'll help me judge, my lady. Sounds fun, I admitted. And it was. Weirdly fun. The first outfit was a formal deep blue and gold set, long sleeves, polished buttons, a ribbon at the collar. Elegant. Dignified. Seal stepped out wearing it like a noble's retainer. Her poise was flawless, but Ren frowned lightly. Too stiff. I nodded. Yeah, she looks like she's about to recite court protocol. Seal tilted her head. Would you like me to? Nope, I quickly said. Let's try another. The second outfit was a tailored black and gray piece with subtle red accents. The skirt was shorter, layered with an angled hem. The apron had a minimalist design, and the neckline dipped just enough to hint at strength over softness. Silver trim gleamed along the edges of the boots and gloves. Seal stepped out slowly. Ren raised an eyebrow. I blinked. Whoa, that's intense. Seal adjusted one glove. It feels efficient. Ren tilted her head. It's striking. Sharp. But it's too sharp, I said, frowning slightly. It looks amazing, but it's almost intimidating. Ren gave a slow nod. Like she's about to interrogate someone instead of serve tea. Seal gave the faintest sigh. So not this one. I smiled. You look incredible in it, but it doesn't match the mood. You're not here to make a statement, you're here to stand beside me. Ren stepped forward and gently adjusted a hem. The other one suited you more quietly. This one is all edge, no softness. Seal gave a polite nod, already turning back to change. Understood. The third outfit was a classic black and white uniform with a long skirt, high collar, and delicate lace trim, modest and refined. When Seal stepped out, Ren actually clasped her hands in appreciation. Traditional. Elegant. I like this. I tilted my head. It's quiet, but not in a bad way. Seal looked down at herself. It fits perfectly. Ren nodded. It carries authority without needing to say a word. I stepped closer. You look like someone who doesn't have to raise her voice to be respected. Seal blinked, just once. I don't dislike it. Ren smiled faintly. It's not flashy, but it commands presence. The kind that stands beside my lady without drawing attention away, only reinforcing it. I looked at her again, then smiled. Yeah, this one's it. Ren nodded. Agreed. We'll make small adjustments to match my lady's color theme, but the foundation is perfect. Seal looked at her reflection in the mirror, then at me. Do you like it, master? I smiled. Yeah, you look amazing. She gave a soft, rare smile. Then I accept it. I leaned against the vanity table with a little sigh. You know, I didn't expect to enjoy this so much. Dressing up, choosing things. I thought it'd feel like losing control, but Ren smirked, arms crossed. It's because you're not losing anything. You're building something new, and we're doing it together, Seal added. That warmth welled up again, familiar now, but still just as powerful. I nodded slowly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Then Ren straightened, brushing imaginary lint from her sleeves, and turned to me with her usual crisp efficiency. My lady, if you'll excuse me, I'll go gather the others and let them know we're ready. You mean the usual chaos crew? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Ren smirked faintly. Exactly. And I'd prefer to prepare them ahead of time. You've already had one dramatic reveal today, no need for another ambush. Unless, of course, you'd like one. I sighed. Let's save the theatrics. Seal folded her hands calmly. Would you like me to go with her? Ren shook her head. No need. You stay here with my lady. I'll handle it. With one last approving glance at both of us, Ren gave a quick curtsy and swept out of the room with purpose. The door clicked shut behind her. And then, stillness. Quiet. Just me and Seal again, standing together in the golden afternoon light, our reflections in the mirror still side by side. Two figures changed, but not lost. The door clicked shut behind Ren, leaving the room steeped in a soft, thoughtful stillness. I turned to look at Seal. She stood quietly at the vanity, her posture graceful, every movement precise. She reached for the final accessory resting on the dresser, a full-face mask, elegant and seamless, styled similarly to the one Shizu once wore. Its surface was smooth porcelain white with subtle gold lining tracing down from the eyes to the cheeks, giving it a timeless, noble feel. The kind of mask that hid everything, yet somehow made the one wearing it feel more complete. She held it in both hands for a moment, then slipped it on with quiet finality. How do I look, master? Her voice was calm and unchanged, though slightly muffled behind the porcelain. Does it suit this form? I stared. She looked powerful, not just graceful or mysterious powerful. You look, I exhaled, like someone who could rewrite fate if she wanted to. She tilted her head slightly, a familiar, unseen smile beneath the porcelain. Only yours, if you ask nicely. I groaned softly and hid my face in my hands. Even with a mask, you still flirt. I am yours, mask or no mask, she said simply, as if it were the most natural truth in the world. Before I could gather myself to reply, the door opened again. Ren peeked inside. My lady, Lady Seal, everything's ready. They're waiting. She stepped in and paused as her eyes fell on Seal. For the briefest second, her usual poise slipped, replaced by a flicker of awe. Then she composed herself again and gave a small approving nod. Very fitting. Seal bowed her head slightly. I smiled. All right, let's go. Seal stepped to my side, quiet and steady. And as we walked toward the door, I glanced once at our reflections in the polished glass. Me, with a small smile. Seal, serene behind her mask. And Ren, walking beside us with quiet pride. Together, we stepped out ready. The heavy doors of the meeting chamber stood closed, muffling the quiet conversations within. Ren stood just ahead, perfectly composed. She turned to glance at me and Seal, giving a final nod. They're ready, my lady. I took a breath. Seal stood silently beside me, dressed in her newly chosen formal maid uniform, dark blue and gold, her face hidden behind a full mask reminiscent of Shizu's. Her posture was flawless, her aura calm and collected. I nodded back. Let's do this. Ren stepped forward and pushed open the doors. They opened without fanfare, no trumpets or titles. Just the quiet groan of polished wood. 6 pairs of eyes turned to meet us. Seated around the long table were the leaders of Tempest, Benimaru, Shuna, Shion, Hakuro, Kaijin, and Rigurd, all rising automatically as we stepped in. Their expressions shifted from curiosity to wide-eyed surprise. Benimaru's brows arched in disbelief. Shuna clasped her hands gently at her chest. Shion's jaw dropped for half a second before she covered it with her hand. Kaijin let out a quiet whistle. Hakuro's eyes narrowed with intrigued focus. And Rigurd looked like he might burst into tears. I walked slowly, deliberately, heels clicking softly against the polished stone. Seal followed 2 steps behind me, graceful and silent, her hands folded in front of her. Ren flanked her on the other side, expression unreadable, like the perfect escort. When I reached the head of the table, I came to a stop and offered a small nod. Sorry for being late, I said lightly, trying to ease the tension. Had a bit of wardrobe chaos. Benimaru blinked, then recovered quickly. I see. So that's you, Rimuru-sama. Shion leaned forward slightly, eyes gleaming. You look amazing, she breathed. Shuna smiled brightly. Truly radiant, my lady. I tried not to squirm under the attention. Thanks. Still getting used to it myself. Kaijin chuckled. Can't say I expected this, but you look good. Hakuro gave a single nod of approval. Graceful as always, even in unfamiliar form. Rigurd, bless him, actually had tears in his eyes. My lady, you honor us. Seal stood behind me like a statue, unmoving, unreadable. But I felt her gaze. Her quiet support. It grounded me. I let the silence linger for just a moment longer, then straightened my posture. I want to formally introduce someone to all of you, I said, my voice even. This is Seal. Starting today, she'll serve as my second personal maid alongside Ren. A few surprised murmurs passed around the room. She'll be assisting me in both personal and official matters, I continued smoothly. I trust her completely, and that's all you need to know. Benimaru tilted his head slightly, eyes narrowing in curiosity. That mask, is there a reason she hides her face? She has her reasons, I replied simply. And I've given her permission. Her identity is not up for discussion. Shuna nodded with quiet understanding, while Xian frowned a little more confused than suspicious. Kaijin crossed his arms. That's fine by me. If you trust her, that's more than enough. Hakuro's gaze lingered on Seal for a moment longer, clearly analyzing her presence and stance, but he didn't press. Rigurd straightened up and gave a reverent bow. We shall welcome Lady Seal with the same respect and loyalty we offer to you, my lady. Seal gave a small bow in return, perfectly timed and silent. Regal, unshakable, she won't be involved with frontline work, I clarified. Her role will mostly be close support for me, logistics, coordination, and other internal matters. Ren added calmly, she has already proven herself quite capable. I'm honored to work beside her. That seemed to settle any lingering doubts. Benimaru nodded with a faint smile. Got it. If she's part of your inner circle, she's part of ours. Shuna smiled gently toward Seal. I look forward to working with you. Seal remained quiet behind her mask, offering only a slow, elegant nod in acknowledgement. No explanations, no elaborate stories, just presence and trust. And, thankfully, no one questioned it further. I exhaled quietly through my nose and moved to take my seat at the head of the table. All right, I said, finally letting my tone relax a bit. Now that the introductions are done, shall we begin the meeting? To be continued.